Welcome to this Baha'i Blog interview. My name is Leyla Tavernaro-Haidarian, and today I'm talking to Ali Youssefi about his recent global musical collaboration, Waves. Ali, a lot of people know you from your first musical collaboration, Unite, which is still extremely popular. And I think it's been 6 years. Am I right?
Yeah, it has been 6 years already.
Did you imagine at the time that it would blow up the way it did?
I still don't think of it as blowing up, but yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's been really surprising, and it's so heartwarming always to hear from friends from different parts of the world, and know that it's resonated with them in different ways. Very special.
It's true. Tell me about Waves. What is it about, and how did you go about practically producing the song and the video?
So, Waves, I don't know, these projects, each one of them takes kind of on a life of its own. Some come together very quickly, some take a long time. Waves is one of those that just marinated for a long time. So I actually composed the music for that quote probably about 2.5 years ago when my wife and I were living in Fresno still. Um, and and I taught it to some of the friends in the community who love to sing. That community just loves to sing, and so we had a lot of fun with it, and doing different parts and call and response. And so a lot of times, I think the project and the idea to make it into a world collaboration comes also by seeing the reaction of the friends and seeing how the friends interact with a particular piece. And so this one, in general, it felt like a very joyful, it felt like a celebration of diversity, And the more we sang it, the more fun we had with it. And every time we did it, we envisioned different things. So it went through many different stages, many phases. At one time it was a little bit more mellow, and then I decided to add a more upbeat guitar into it. And we were living in Africa at the time, my wife and I, in West Africa, and so we were very influenced by the styles of music there. So we decided to add a more African feel guitar to it, which then required percussion, which so it just like kind of took on a life of its own. And of course, the people who participated in it made it something that I could have never imagined really. So this is one of the wonderful thing about these world collaborations. You start with one idea, you head in a direction, but then it's basically built by the people that participate.
Wow. How is your approach and your experience similar or different to, for example, Unite or other collaborative songs? Like how do these processes differ?
So Unite was a little bit different because um, the quote lent itself very beautifully to actually be sung by friends from all over the world. At that time, 6 years, a lot has changed in 6 years. So at that particular moment, I felt the need to do the recordings myself, to film myself. So only a couple of friends sent their videos on their own, but for most of it, again, this was over a span of maybe 2 years, and I was traveling for different reasons. Um, so everywhere I went, including Austria, I was actually in Vienna with some friends there, and I would ask, hey, does anybody in the community like to sing? Would anybody like to participate in this? And so this is how I met a few friends, and I focused more maybe on friends who who sang, and some musicians and stuff like that, and then little by little the idea, we had a few other world collaborations in between. So we did one called Love is Shining, we
Mhm.
did One Tree as well, and then Waves has been the most recent one. And so every time it's become more of an open invitation, kind of less controlled in a way, less managed, and with it have come a lot of challenges, I have to say, from a production side, and because we receive different types of contributions, and one of the things that's very important for me is that I want everybody's contribution to be heard, to be a part of it in one way or another. Um, so we spend a good bit of time finding the perfect place for the instrumentation, for all the singing and everything. So I'm not sure what direction the next collaborations will go in, but it's exciting to see, you know, that the friends are so happy to sing along and excited to participate.
Wow. So it really kind of evolves, and you take your time for each of these projects.
Yeah, and we have other projects that we do kind of parallel to these, because unfortunately we can't just count on you know, one project that's going to take 2 years. It's a long time to wait, and I don't think neither myself nor everybody else is that patient. But so parallel to that, we're working on other songs. And at this point, my wife has also started working with me on these projects. So it's two of us now working on them. So the process is a little bit quicker also, but it's also a very time-consuming process. You know, we started with Unite, that was maybe, you know, 30, 35 videos. And now we're, you know, up to a few hundred videos. And the, you know, processing power of the computers, and, you know, everything takes so long to actually edit and mix the music and everything and select all the parts. So it's just a labor of patience and love. We love to do it. So, and we just love the whole project, you know, no matter what the song, the whole time we're editing, we just have this huge smile on our face, you know? So it's a source of a lot of joy for us, definitely.
And I'm sure everybody feels that as well. Has COVID impacted anything in terms of the way you work with other people, or your musical projects at the moment?
Well, it's definitely cut down a little bit on the amount of things that we can do live and in person, right? So for Waves, actually, it was a combination of things, because it took so long to produce. So there's a few of the friends that I managed to record myself on different trips. Some of the friends in Norway, for example, that contributed their part. So we were able to film and record them with the help of some of the friends there. And then others we had to, you know, was filmed during COVID. So in case people are wondering, those big groups, that was not during COVID. We did not make any rules. But you know, with COVID, there have also been a lot of amazing opportunities that have come, because some of the obstacles that maybe we had in our mind, as far as, you know, collaboration and reaching out to different people, like everybody's kind of, you know, it's kind of leveled the playing field in a way, and everybody is you know, just themselves on the computer. That's pretty much all you can do right now. So it's been interesting to reach out to friends, and, you know, some of the musicians, like for example Red Grammar, that, you know, I reached out to and was so happy to participate, and has, you know, has brought a different level of musicality also to the project. And some of the percussionists, like Shango in Spain, they were so happy to participate, and so we'd worked together in other projects, but everybody was just at home with their cameras and their, you know, whatever equipment they have. And so it's been an interesting change. But I think for a lot of artists, it's actually, you know, it's been a wonderful opportunity to be able to connect in different ways.
Wow. Working with so many different people at times, I mean, a lot of the creative decisions are in your hands, and yet you let the project take on a life of its own in many ways. Is it easy or challenging to work with so many different people? And how does it sort of mirror our task that we have as a human family of working together with so many different talents and capabilities?
You know, I reflect on this constantly, and it's a constant roller coaster of emotions, because I think, as with anything that any project we undertake, we tend to become very attached to outcomes. We become attached to our vision of things. So for me, it's actually a kind of a microscopic view of what it's like to, you know, maybe to work as a larger group of people, and as humanity as a whole, contributing different things. Because, you know, from the moment I compose something, you know, I imagine it in a particular way, and I try to the best of my abilities not to restrain people's creativity too much. obviously there's different levels of expertise, and some people are professional musicians, and other people are just starting. So sometimes we'll write pieces, or we'll write parts, but a lot of times it's just an invitation to add whatever this evokes in you. And sometimes it requires a complete detaching and reframing of what it was that you had imagined. And sometimes it's for the best, sometimes it's different. So it's a constant detaching, a constant reimagining of things. And as an artist, I have obviously my own final vision of what I think it should be like. But ultimately, sometimes we have to sacrifice that for something that might be better than what you imagined. So sometimes no sacrifice at all. Sometimes it's harder. Um, but yeah, it's I think it's a great, as you said, a great analogy to just what it means to work together, to communicate, to collaborate. It's an ever evolving process.
And music's been a part of your life since childhood. What was it like growing up with music everywhere in your life?
I loved it, and it had its challenges at times also. I actually went to a music school in Chile where I grew up, and and I had to choose an instrument that it wasn't what resonated with me at the moment, but I didn't have too many choices for different reasons. But I ended up playing in an orchestra, and it gave me, a particular understanding of how things work, in an orchestra and the different parts and so on. So everything has come in handy in the future. But I definitely didn't imagine a career in music at such an early age. Just something that we enjoyed doing as a family, singing together. My siblings and I, and my mom, and we all love singing together, harmonizing. So anytime we get together, so washing the dishes, everybody's singing different parts, and whatever you're doing, there's always like harmonies going on. So I loved it, and I hope whenever we have kids of our own, that we can create that environment for them. I think it's fun. It was always fun. It was always kind of a game in that way. It was play. Um, but yeah, definitely the transition from that to imagining it as a career, to think of how to make a living from this, is also challenging for artists. But we also live in a day and age where I think we're reinventing so many aspects of society. I think one of the things that is starting to change is this aspect of how we what we value, how we value it, and with that, I think there are growing amount of opportunities for creative people. And for me, truthfully, the only thing that has ever I thought of following music in many different ways, and many different directions. But what I found the most meaningful for myself was this aspect of taking writings, or taking the message in the Baha'i writings, which I find is really a balm for humanity right now, and in some way to tie these with together with music. It was the best use of my skills that I could think of, and what moved me to do it. So, and that being said, finding a way of making that sustainable is also hard. But really, we've derived so much joy from it, and it's a concept that it's growing. I think we've been able to also little by little perfect. It's a never-ending process, but we've been able to grow and to kind of work on those skills. So hopefully, sorry, I deviated completely from your question, but
No, this is so interesting, because I would love to know as well what you would tell other artists who want to contribute, creative people who want to do what they love and to serve in that way while taking care of themselves and their families. How does one support oneself? This is, I think, a big question for a lot of creative people. What's been
I
your
think
advice?
there's a huge need. I mean, we see the amount of entertainment that is being produced, throughout multiple platforms, and we're just constantly bombarded by, by videos, by movies, by series, and some of them are great, and some of them not so much. But it's a huge, huge industry right now, and the skills of a lot of these creators have risen considerably. So I think it's wonderful to see other Baha'i inspired artists also dedicating time, and it's wonderful to see that resources are starting to become available for people to do that, because it requires, I think it basically requires just a lot of time to perfect one's art, um, and a lot of time that's time that unfortunately isn't like monetized and stuff like that. But what I would say is just focus on your art, focus on whatever inspires you, whatever you feel your calling is, um, because the sooner you can find that, and the sooner you can perfect it and dedicate time to it, um, then the sooner you'll be able to offer it to the community, to society, and then the rest will come. I mean, we're still in that process, but no doubt, I think with the tools that are available in society right now, I think the quicker we perfect these things, then the quicker we'll be able to share these messages, and it becomes such an amazing platform. I mean, when we think about sharing these messages from stages, all these online platforms are stages in a way. And so the capacity to reach more people with these messages, to share these messages with others, is increasing dramatically. So I would say just follow your heart, because means will come in one way or another. But a lot of times it does require, juggling a lot of things, a job, and, doing this on the side. I think we've all been there. But I think the doors do open, I think, in one way or another.
You mentioned that putting the writings to music can be a balm for the soul. Generally speaking, what is the role of the artist in building community? Because we're all building communities, we're in this process, and I seem to see that theme in all of your work.
Well, in a way, it's a very personal journey, because I think about it in some way as a personal interpretation. So that being said, it won't resonate with everybody. Um, but I've always thought of music and art um, as kind of a tool that can carry things a little bit further past, some of our mental blocks. Um, so in the case of music, I think it just, for me, if it comes from my heart, and I hope it gets delivered to other people's heart. And from what I hear, from the feedback that I get, it seems like that is the effect. And a lot of times, we might not consider ourselves religious, or Baha'is, not Baha'is, different religions, but ultimately these words, these messages are for humanity, and therefore the advancement and the progress of humanity as a whole. And sometimes I feel like art helps carry these things past maybe some of the things that we tell ourselves, like, oh, okay, this is not for me for A, B, or C reason. But ultimately, it should be a balm for all of our hearts, regardless of how we think of ourselves. So hopefully art and music just becomes a tool through which it can come closer to the heart. And I think arts in general, in community and community building, it's playing so many different roles, because also we're finding the importance of art and music, and for example memorization. For me, that's always been the best tool to memorize something that I memorized 20 years ago through music. It's still ringing in there, because it has a rhythm, it has a melody, and so on. And maybe that's just me. Everybody's different. but we're finding, that art, more than just elevating our spirits or, creating different emotions, also, intellectually also has a huge role to play. So it's a fascinating stage that we're going into, and definitely, the community building efforts are shining light on so many of these different aspects of the arts.
That's so true. That's beautiful. What's next for you? What's your next project that you're working on? Or the next life
There's always
project?
something. There's always something. Well, right now we've been focused. This year is actually commemorates the 100 years from the passing of Abdul Baha, who was the son of the founder of the Baha'i faith, and so, and I've particularly always felt a very special connection with Abdul Baha's writings. Maybe musically speaking, also his writings are very poetic, and they evoke melodies very easy, maybe a lot easier than, say The Guardian or Um, so we've been finding quotes and choosing quotes and writing songs in honor of the centenary of Abdul Baha. And there's a few songs, one to be released this month, and a couple of new collaborations that we're working on. And we're actually very excited to be starting to collaborate with a couple of other organizations also, and individuals. So look forward to more things. One thing that I'm also very excited about is I've been starting to work on choral pieces recently. So there will probably be a few world collaboration kind of choral edition. So there's a number of projects, and there's not enough hours in the day to really get things out as quickly as we would like. But we're constantly working on it, and so excited to share these new songs with you guys.
Super exciting. We're all looking forward to that.
Thank
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.